Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mountainside Podcast. Our guest for this episode is the 2020 LFA Fighter of the Year, Josh Fremd. I thoroughly enjoyed having Josh in the podcast studio, sitting down, recording with him, getting to know his mindset, where he's from, has only made me a bigger fan. I cannot wait to see what Josh does at the professional level of mixed martial arts, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Josh Fremd, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? Not too much. Just driving up through this beautiful evergreen. First time being up here.
Yeah, well, welcome, man. Welcome to the Mountainside Podcast. We love it here, man. I grew up here.
Yeah.
And, I've said this a million times on this podcast, but at 18 or 19, this was the worst place in the world.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But, yeah, being a teenager, I guess, you could think like
I guess
that.
I didn't really think it was the worst place in the world. I just thought, like, there was bigger and better things for me to go see, right?
Yeah.
As much as I love the mountains and everything, but then look where I'm at now,
Still here.
Right back here. Yeah, no, but welcome for your first time. Next time you come up, dude, we'll have to give you the tour, man. There's all kinds of cool stuff to do here. There's trails everywhere. We got an epic golf course that's right on a lake.
Oh, that sounds bomb.
There's awesome restaurants right down the street. Like, just bring you and, a family member, your girl or whatever, come up, eat at the Wildflower, man.
When driving through, I've seen a couple good ones that look like I need to stop there before I go.
Yeah, man, give me a call next time. I'll at least point you in the right direction. I won't come crash your party.
Good advice. I'll take it.
Hell yeah. So what have you been up to, man? How's the fight game going?
What I've been up to lately is just training, back to getting things back to normal. Unfortunately, I dropped my last fight. I was fighting for the LFA world title for middleweight. Didn't go my way, and I had to take some time and deal with that. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and my 2020 was amazing.
I'm a fan of yours, by the way.
So that's awesome.
I've been following you, and I follow anybody that comes out of Factory X.
Yeah,
just because I love Mark and that whole mindset that you guys got going on down there. But anyways, I mean, I've been following you since, I guess, the first LFA fight was kind of, and then I went back and even watched some Bellator stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But your first round knockouts are incredible, man. And you were the 2020 Fighter of the Year for the LFA, which that's no slouch of for people that don't know, I'm sure everybody knows the UFC, but LFA is right behind it. I wouldn't call it the farm league for it, but it's a worldwide.
Feeder, yeah. There's a lot of people that get to the UFC through LFA. So yeah, it was a great honor to do that. And, especially coming off my 2019 where I had 2 surgeries and I was out for an extended period of time, to be able to come back and have those type of fights that I've always wanted to put on for LFA. I finally got to fight for LFA, and it was just an honor to be able to do all that.
Yeah, no. And everybody gets caught every once in a while, right? That's just kind of the game. You're stepping in there with professionals.
Yeah, and the guy I fought, he's no joke. He's no slouch, and I still believe I could get him if we ran it back, but that's just the way it goes. He got me, and he went on living out my dream. The next week, 2 days later, he got signed to the UFC, fought in the UFC 2 weeks later, got a win. So, more props to him. Happy for him and everything. But, yeah, just taking my time after the fight, because I want to obviously jump right back in there. But I needed to take some time, get some things in my personal life fixed, and then jump back into training and just get my mind right for the next one,
Yeah, no, 100%. I can't even imagine being at that level. I have a hard enough time crawling on the mat with a purple belt, you know what I mean? Damn it. Now I got to roll against you. So, but yeah, no, it's that's a whole nother level when it comes to what you guys do athletically and just constantly being ready, because you never know when you're going to get the call or what type of short notice. But have you been traveling at all? you mainly stay in Denver now, or are you?
So I live in
Okay.
Colorado now, in Denver, and I travel a decent amount. You know, I go back to Pittsburgh every once in a while, see my family, see my old training partners. I was just in Austin 2 weekends ago. That was more for pleasure. My buddy, he got a new job.
What a great city, huh?
Oh, dude, I'm in love with Austin now. You know, huge EDM scene out there, great bars, great places to eat, great food.
Good music.
Good music. I had a blast. My friend, he's leaving. He's been there for 6 years. He's moving to LA, kind of like the opposite of what everyone's doing. Everyone's leaving LA. But, we just had a send-off, you know. He's been a good friend, and I love Austin. I have no complaints about Austin.
Yeah, I was actually just in LA last week, and it was good, man. It was good to see, like, I stayed down near the beach cities where I used to live. I lived there for quite a while, and all the bars were, like, full blast, man.
Again.
No masks, just like everybody's.
Amazing.
It felt kind of back to normal, you know. And I think that they were kind of the last ones to lift their head out from under the COVID rock a
LA
little bit,
and
you
New
know.
York are just they were the last ones and the very first ones too, like, and put all those implications and everything, like all those standards to keep.
And they were so
on.
strict with it all, man.
Oh,
It's
super
crazy.
strict.
I think that's why a lot of people left.
Oh yeah, and
But
homeless doesn't help in LA.
it's really bad now.
It's
I mean, it's
bad.
like twice as bad now. It's kind of crazy.
I went out there for a high rollers tournament, a jiu-jitsu tournament, and I thought, I'm a huge Tupac fan, so I thought LA, West Coast, that's where I want to be, that's where I want to go.
That's changed a lot, though.
Oh, it's not the same at all.
Compton's not the same at all, yeah. Like,
not at all. I was so shocked when I went out there. My buddy and I, we got on some scooters, and we just right through Skid Row, just tense for miles, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. No, it is. How was the high rollers?
Oh, it was awesome.
Awesome. Is that Nate or Nick Diaz's
no,
deal, or?
actually, my boy back in Pittsburgh, Big Lawn, he is a co-founder of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's just a huge tournament. Like, Nick and Nate Diaz are obviously supporters and whatnot for that. But, dude, it's an amazing time. Like, just being able to go out and smoke and do jiu-jitsu. You meet a bunch of great people. You get to compete. You get to smoke.
Do you have to smoke the same blunt as, like, do you have to share the blunt
No,
or
that's
the joint with your competitor? Because you got to be on the same level, right?
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to. I know, like, in their first couple ones, they had, like, as a ceremonial thing in the finals, like, they smoke a giant doobie together and then they go compete. So much, like, it's getting more and more, it's evolving more, so it's not necessarily they do that, but I think in the finals it's a good, you know, ceremonial thing to show the people, like, hey, yeah, we're stoners, but we're not lazy. We can be athletic, we can be friendly, we can, like,
well, there's a whole subculture for that, and I think, you know, anybody that steps onto the jiu-jitsu mat on a regular basis or is competing in it has got a high intensity level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And weed just kind of takes that edge off a little bit, right? And sometimes to go slower, you're better. Especially in jiu-jitsu, for what I found. And I don't know shit, man. But, like, for me, the more I slow down, the better I am. And the more I think, the more I breathe. And
yeah, like, I equate it to, like, almost a flow state when I'm high and I'm doing jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
You're thinking a couple steps ahead. You're able to react, and it's a beautiful thing.
I got a question for you on that, though, because I see, like, you know, Nate rolling into this last UFC. I think it was 263 or something, right?
Yeah.
And he's just blowing smoke rings the whole way, like, in the door. Like, where does USADA step in the boxing commission? And, like, was that not a sanctioned fight?
Well, no, that's where it's getting to the point now. He was able to smoke like that because USADA doesn't test for marijuana anymore.
Okay, well, that's good.
And then the athletic commission is usually where you get in all the trouble if you pee hot. But they stopped testing that in Arizona, and I think that's where it was in Arizona.
Oh, yeah?
So the athletic commission does not test for THC anymore. The only thing they have is, like, you can't show up to the venue the day of the fight high. But, like, leading up to it, you're allowed to smoke still now. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible, man. It's a different world now a little bit. But
it is.
I think it's for the better, man. I just feel bad for all those dudes that were, like, incarcerated for 20 years over it. And, like didn't get to watch their kids grow up or whatever, you know, like.
I watched this one show, and this one scene will always stick with me. I think it's called Baked or something. This mom finds weed in her daughter's drawer. knows exactly where she bought it from, went next door and started like pounding on the door, and like the guy who sold her the weed answered and was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "You sold my daughter drugs." He looks at it and grabs the joint. He's like, "This is weed," and then just slams the door in her face. Like, it's not drugs, it's just weed. Chill
Yeah, but
out.
there's still that old school mentality. I mean, even when you get
yeah.
up here with like some of the older law enforcement and stuff, you know,
Mhm.
they still have that mindset, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit. And
Eventually those guys
I think
are gonna,
it'll weed out.
they'll die
Literally.
off, and that form of thinking won't continue because
Yeah.
everyone knows anymore. Like, you're not gonna harm yourself. You're not gonna harm anyone else. There's never been a time where I've smoked and thought I should go do something dangerous,
Sure.
like
Right.
jump off this car or something. Nothing stupid. Like
Yeah,
that.
not to the point like Jack Daniels does to me.
Oh
Like,
no, yeah, you
I
get
smoke
a
joint
fifth in you, and you're gonna
yeah.
be doing some dumb stuff.
I'm gonna be. I always say I'm allergic to that. I break out in handcuffs, man. It's like, it's just no joke,
That's
man. Like I've
perfect.
just learned, like I have to stick to Irish whiskeys, Scotch, vodka, tequila, all that shit. I'm good. As soon as I get into those American whiskeys or bourbons, I'm
Ooh.
fucked, dude. Even the Canadian stuff will send me
Canadians
over the edge
will
a little
get
bit. Yeah. But I don't know much about your background. I mean, you didn't grow up here in Colorado? I know that. Where was home for you?
So home for me is a little town like 30 minutes south of Pittsburgh called Connersville.
Okay.
Hey,
Um,
I know all about Connell.
You know about Connersville?
And you know what's crazy is like a lot of our guests, I would say, God, I don't want to, because we're getting up there in episodes, but I feel like 25% of them are either from Pennsylvania somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
This is a big place to where people transfer.
Like relocate, yeah.
Relocate, because I know where I live, I'm right next to a Steelers bar. So I'm like, hey, we got some
But you all are
backers
cool
here.
people, man, because we've been having you on the fucking show. We've had fly fishing guides from up there.
Oh, yeah?
My other co-producer that's normally here with me, Jeremy, he's from Philly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know. They just come out of the woodwork, man. It's awesome. So welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, from Connersville, I went to college in Slippery Rock, which is north of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I played football. I played baseball all my life. I was going to be the Pittsburgh Pirates shortstop one day. I swore to it, and then I found fighting, and then I was like, maybe I'll change my mind here. But, yeah, after college, I moved into Pittsburgh, and I was fighting full-time and turned pro.
I'm going to slow you
Oh,
down
yeah,
here
yeah.
just a little bit. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm always curious with fighters, what was that catalyst to be like, you know, hey, I'm playing baseball, I'm playing football.
Mhm.
Did you wrestle? I mean, did you have a
So,
wrestling background too? Or?
I wrestled in, what was it? My 8th grade was my first year because I came from a private school. So my dad was a doctor when I was younger. So I kind of had both of the different types of lives. Like, he was a doctor, he was in jail. So like, I was rich when I was super young. I don't really remember it. And then towards my 7th grade and further in high school, I was dirt broke. So like, I learned how to just maneuver, and sports was like my getaway. It was my way to, like, after school, I didn't have to get in any trouble, so I would just go play sports. The bus would take me home, and I'd be fine. But really, switching to public school, playing football, I just got picked on, and the crap
Really?
beat out of me at all times. Even though I was like good at football, my interpersonal
So, like, bullied, or?
bullied. Oh, for sure. My interpersonal skills were not good. Like, I was sheltered. I never really talked to people, and like, so going to a public school is very eye-opening, you know.
Mhm.
And then I started wrestling, and then my very first practice of wrestling, I got the shit beat out of me. The kids made me cry, and I went home crying on the bus. And then from that point on, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and get really good at this.
Look at you now.
I mean, I call myself a mediocre wrestler, but I found much more success in like boxing and kickboxing, obviously being as tall as I am. But
Yeah, you got
yeah,
some length.
it was the catalyst really was like, I was gonna go play football in college. I was getting looked at by Coastal, and then I drove down there, and something about the college and the life of college didn't like sit right with me. I was more scared of, am I gonna be able to handle the academics, the football? It was just a lot, you know. So I ran home, and I was like, I can't do it. And then my older sister Kira, she, honestly, my confidant, just gave me all the confidence I needed, pushed me to go back to school, and I was going to play football, but then I met this kid named Steve Mowry, who's a heavyweight in Bellator
Yeah.
now, took me under his wing, showed me everything around Pittsburgh, Slippery Rock, and then I was like, you know what? I'm done with football. I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to chase it. And for all 4 years I was in college, that's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's starting to pay off.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, growing up, your dad being around, was he into sports at all? Did he play or did he box or anything? Or?
Excuse me. No, he was that's where I got my love for baseball.
Okay.
He played in the minors for a bit.
Oh, really?
Grew up in New York. He's from the Bronx, so like big Yankees fans, big Mets fan. So like that's just always was in my life, baseball.
Yeah. And then, how old are you?
Right now I'm 27.
Okay, so you're pretty young.
Old.
So
Old.
I always forget because I watched the
say
first UFC I watched was like on a VHS. I don't even know, my buddy had it or something, and we stole it from one of my buddy's dads, and it was like, you got to see this, and put it in the VCR. And Anna, you might see if you can pull some of this up. It's pretty crazy compared to what it is now. And it was like, before I knew what mixed martial arts, or I knew what martial arts were. I didn't know what mixed martial arts were like. So to watch these guys go at it, there was like a sumo guy versus like a kickboxer. And then I'll never forget Hoist Gracie, like he's in a full gi. And I had no idea what jiu-jitsu was. Mm-hmm. And he was fighting some guy with one boxing glove, which was crazy.
Remember that guy,
I'll never forget that shit. It was like watching Mike Tyson's Punch Out or something, you know what I mean? Like it was just this totally surreal thing, and we were glued to it for the entirety of, like, whatever it was, 3 hours. And then growing up here in Evergreen, it was so cool that there was a connection that it was in Denver was the first one.
Denver was the first one,
yeah. At McNichols Sports Arena. So it was like, it started in our hometown. And then I was just a fan from day one. And it's honestly why I got into jiu-jitsu later on. I mean, like, or I wrestled, I guess, and my kids really got me into jiu-jitsu, but I always had that in the back of my mind, like, this is something I want to go do, just because of watching Hoist. That was fucking crazy, man.
It is awesome how they set this all up in the beginning. It wasn't so much as a certain person, it was certain styles. Like, what style? One was a sumo guy, one was a savate guy, which is like a French style kickboxing.
And they just kept fighting until the end. So, like, if you were the top guy,
you just gotta keep going.
Yeah, you were 6 fights in or whatever it was. It was like a bracket system. It's crazy. But do you have an experience like that where you? Because I mean, did you start watching this stuff? You probably weren't even born then. So, because this was 90.
No, I was born in 94, and I think by the time that I started like really getting into it was the era of Matt Hughes. Hughes, like in the beginning, and I watched The Ultimate Fighter, like the very first Ultimate Fighter with Forrest Griffin. Loved that, and that's like watching that. It kind of. Before I even started training, I told people, this is what I'm going to do. Like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm doing. These are my plans. I'm going to do this before I even stepped in a gym. Just because, like, it looked like a great outlet. And it was fun. And it was something that, like, as playing group sports, team sports my whole life, you don't have to depend on anyone. Like, playing football, I have to depend on the lineman to block, the quarterback to get there, and, of course, myself, to do what I need to do.
100%. That's why I wrestled.
Exactly. Wrestling's the single mindset of it, and if you fail, it's on you. If you win, it's on you. Like, there's no excuses. That kind of, like, really drew me to it. Yeah,
and just that, like, that's one thing with my kids that I encourage them to either be I hope to God by the time my daughter's 16, she's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm going to invest whatever money it takes, whatever it takes to get her to that, is my goal.
That's a great idea, like, because the confidence that it instills in you, to just
the life lessons, right?
The life lessons, yeah. Like, people when I tell them that I'm a fighter, and they're like, "Oh, you don't seem like a fighter. You're not like this big egotistical." No, like. You get humbled. It teaches you to be humble. Yeah. And then the confidence that you have going into a room where you're like, all right, well, I don't have to act like an asshole because I can handle myself. I can control myself. Like, even working as a bouncer or bartender down in Denver, I'm the first one to come make a joke. Like, if someone's going to fight, like, I see it, I'm like, hey, you want a drink? That girl's hot over there. You should go talk to her. Like, let's not fight. Like, it's just, it gives you a different level of confidence. I think everyone should do it.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of people going into that, because you have this level head of like, okay, I know what I need to do, or I probably can anticipate what's coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of that boast and a lot of that jaw is to like a deterrent. Yeah. It's like, you know, it's somebody that really doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's the animal kingdom. You just have to puff out your chest and look intimidating, and then people will leave you alone.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's crazy. But, you know, it's just wild how much this sport has evolved. This is so cool. And I feel like I've watched it evolve, you know, since I was a little kid. So, and honestly, what you just said is why I enjoy having fighters in. I enjoy having coaches in. You guys are some of the easiest people to get along with. You're the most real in a conversation. You know, there's not a whole lot of lying that goes on in a jiu-jitsu gym, if any at all, right? Because
if you lie, you're gonna get found out very quick. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I love about having you guys on and stuff. So your fight career, explain that to me a little bit, because I only know just a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I saw you fight in that Bellator fight. Was that your first pro fight?
That was my second pro fight.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one was pretty funny how it all happened. I was working at a at-risk youth center at the time, and my coach, I was trying to move down to Florida, and speaking of weed laws and everything, I got in a little trouble in PA for having weed in my car and whatnot. So as I was trying to make the move down to Florida, I got caught up in all that legal stuff, so I had to come back up, got a job, and then as you know, I'm bummed. I was like, I wanted to be in Florida. I had all these plans. My coach hits me up and is like, hey, Bellator's coming to Penn State. They have room for one more fight. They want to put you on. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. And so
you'd had a bunch of amateur fights
at
that point?
I went,
okay.
I think it was 8 or 9-2 as an
Awesome.
amateur. Yeah. And that was throughout college.
Yeah.
And then, he just hit me up randomly. I was like, we got this opportunity. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah. Like, I wasn't even training. I remember I got the final text. I went back to my college because I was a year out of college. I went back and partied with my friends for our homecoming. And I remember, like, laying in bed. My phone's about to die. He was like, we got the fight. And I was like, awesome. And I passed out. And then I woke up the next morning, started running. I had 2 weeks to get ready. And I was like, all right.
2 weeks? That's it, huh?
I had to focus on it. Because I was trying to move, you know, and I wasn't as much focused. I was trying to get apartment situated, car situated, and everything. So I was training, but not like I should have been. So, and I didn't even know if I was going to get the fight. My buddies were like, oh, you got to come up to this party at school. And I was like, all right, I'll do this.
Can't miss the party.
Can't miss the party. If I get it, I'm just going to buckle down. Yeah. If I don't, well, then I didn't miss anything, you know?
Yeah.
It's a good way to live life sometimes, I think.
Not the smartest.
Yeah.
I've never done that again, nor will I ever do that again.
But do you regret it? I mean,
I don't regret it because I won,
yeah.
And you know, I had a pretty good performance. The weight cut wasn't the most fun. Having to be on Bellator for the first time, you know, I wasn't cut up or shredded. I just looked like a bloated, skinny guy who just made weight. So it was. I mean, I don't regret it. I don't regret it because of the outcome, but like I feel like if it would have altered the outcome, I would have been like, all right, that's a huge regret. I just blew a huge opportunity. Yeah.
So why Colorado? What made you make that jump? Was that straight out of PA or?
No, so it was between. So I got everything cleared up, and I took a couple more fights in Pittsburgh. And as the legal things were getting handled, it was between Florida or Colorado. So like I said, I mentioned I have a friend, Steve, who's down in Sanford, formerly Black Zillions. Excuse me. And I was going to go down with them. My best friend from college is a gym manager down there. So I was like, yeah, let me go down here, be with my boys. And my girlfriend had an opportunity to come out for the military. She's in the Air Force. And so we just looked at the options, and I was like, well, I want to go to Florida. You have an opportunity here in Colorado, and I know a couple people out here in Colorado. So I was like, I'll come out here for like 2-3 months, give it a try, see if, you know, I like it. If I don't like it, we'll go our separate ways. I'll go to Florida. You do your thing out here. Dude, it was 2 weeks and I fell in love with Colorado. Yeah. Like, there's the mountains, being outside. My dog can go with me everywhere. I can walk down the street and grab weed like it's a sixer from the shop. Like, it's not a big issue. And I love it out here. Yeah, the training, and that's not even including the training.
There's so many good fucking gyms.
So many good gyms, so many quality, high-level training partners that I have out here. I mean, I could go on for days about Mark and what he's done for me mentally, physically, and everything out here. But Factory X, the culture that they have there, I was hooked immediately.
We love Mark Montoya, big fans.
Yeah, he
was
great
like
guy.
one of our first episodes on here, like I was telling you before the podcast. And, you know, he's just his stature, demeanor, who he is, his mindset, like, it checks all the boxes, man, of just like
it's who you want
a good
in
guy.
Your corner.
Yeah.
Like even if fighting's done and you're done fighting, he's still the type of guy that's going to be there for you if you need advice, if you need help. Like he's going to be real with you. He's not going to bullshit you. And sometimes when he's real with you, it hurts, but like that's what you need to hear.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you need in your corner, some honesty, right?
Yeah. I don't like, I had a couple of those before, like yes men, like, oh, you're this, you're that. And I don't think I'm that. So don't lie to me and tell me that. Be real, be straight up with me. And that's all you're going to get from Mark.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing I love about Factory X, and not to turn this into a commercial for them, but I do fly their flag as much as I can. You know, the team element that you guys have down there, just like I called Jordan up and I was like, hey, dude, I would like to bring another fighter on. Who do you think would be a good fit for the show? And he was like, oh, you got to have Josh on, like right away. And he set it up like
right away.
Pretty
much immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Jordan. You know,
Jordan's a great dude. He's been nothing but great to me since I've moved out here. Always helpful and everything.
There's a full team down there is what I'm getting at. You know, you got Dustin Jacoby down there, Anthony Lionheart-Smith, like all those guys. Just it seems like this team mentality, no matter what level you're at there.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing about the culture there. Is like that's what draws you in and keeps you there because you have everyone on the same mission. Everyone wants to be a great martial artist, and everyone's taking it very seriously, all the way from the amateurs all the way up to the pros. I know amateurs who have done what I've done, like work 2 jobs, train as much as they can, barely sleep at night, but they're invested. And when you invest time, blood, sweat, tears with people, like you're going to grow together. And that's the culture that they've cultivated here, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with you. And then, you know, shout out to Jordan and his podcast too. That's where I get most of my MMA knowledge from now because there's so much to keep up with. There's so many different, I mean, between Sparta and LFA and Bellator and, you know, everything. It's just, you could go down the pipeline and just watch UFC 24/7 now if you wanted to, or MMA, mixed martial arts rather. But yeah, and Jordan's all over that. I don't know how he does it, man.
He's in love.
Yeah.
He's obsessed. He's obsessed with it. And that's awesome to have someone like that in the gym, you know? I mean, there's a lot of gyms out there who don't have that. And I think that's a crucial part to any gym success is having someone on the media side who's obsessed with it, you know?
Sure. And then, you know, back to mindset, because I know this is big with Coach Mark and just like some of the stuff that I've heard, like, you know, Dustin talked to me about stuff that he has you guys do like outside the gym, homework sort of stuff, like reading books and all that sort of stuff. And I love asking this questions to Mark's fighters, you know, or people that come out of Factory X rather. You know, where does your mindset come from? What are some strong things? I mean, do you emulate other fighters? Is there something in the back of your mind when you're stepping through that octagon door, or is it?
I wouldn't say that I try to emulate anyone else. And as far as like motivation and mentality that I personally like to use, because I explained this to someone the other day. I take this very seriously. This isn't something that it's not just competition to me. It's like some people have to look at this in a competition point, like, oh, I win, you lose, or I did this, so like I get this point, or like this. I take it very serious to where it's almost life and death for me. I have a huge chip on my shoulder since I've been growing up, since I was a kid. I've been told I can't do this, I can't do that, you're not good enough. And I still, like, those thoughts are still in my head that I'm battling constantly. And having the homework that Mark has us do outside of the gym with the books and everything, it helps. But at the same time, I like to keep it there in the back of my head. You know, I like to keep that chip on my shoulder because when we go out there, it's not, I'm going to fight until I win. I'm going to fight until either you're done or I'm done. You're going to be out cold or I'm going to be out cold. There is no, all right, you won 7 minutes, I won 6 minutes. All right, sure, it's over. Like, no, like we're gonna fight until one of us drops and can't fight anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know how to explain this, and I don't want to downplay other professional sports, but I don't think that there is a professional sport like, you know, MMA or combat sports.
Mm-mm.
Because you're not stepping onto a field to play a game or stepping onto a court. I mean, there are serious implications. Your guys' careers are for a short span. Some of it comes down to, frankly, when you make it to the UFC, luck, right? Who thinks that you should be there?
Yeah.
Really.
What fights are you gonna have lined up?
Yeah.
Who does your manager know? Are you ready? Is this guy ready? Like, there's a lot of
politics, right?
Oh, that's why I got out of team sports, was the politics. Yeah. But the longer I stayed in this, dude, it's all politics. Sure. Someone could be so ass, but they know the right people and they have the right look. Boom, they're going to get skyrocketed. Sure. I've seen people who deserve so much more than they've ever gotten, and just because they didn't know the right people or they didn't have the right manager, they were just pushed to the side, you know? And it sucks, but that's just the way she goes.
That's part of it, yeah. That's part of that game, man. That's why they call it the fight game, right? I mean, like, really, there's so much that goes on outside of the ring. It's not even funny when it comes down to it.
Plays a huge part of how and what happens in the ring.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, no, I can imagine. You know, I noticed, and you mentioned it just a minute ago, your walkout music's been the same, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's Tupac. You're Blazing Rider as you coming out, right? Or Ambitions as a writer. Mm-hmm. And, where's that come from? Is that just...
So the song itself, what made me pick that one is just, I don't know, I've always been drawn to Tupac's music. Like I said, I've always had a chip on my shoulder, and like the way his lyrics are, like I kind of vibe with them, because like, no, a long time in my life, it was a lot of like, why me? You know, why me? Now I'm just like, well, why the fuck not me? You know, what does that dude have that I don't, or why does he deserve that over me? And that's kind of just how, you know, Tupac pretty much lived his life. Like, no, fuck you, pay me. I'm going to get what's mine. And I love that song. Every lyric just resides in me, and I love it. And the fact that I keep the same one every time, that's just a shout out to one of the GOATs of Pittsburgh MMA, Chris Dempsey. He when I was coming up through the amateur scene, he played the same song every time. And every time Bad Company came on, you could hear like everyone in Stage A just going crazy, because they knew Dempsey's about to fight. So like, I like that. When you hear Ambitions as a rider play, you're like, hey, Fremd's fighting, grab a beer, let's go.
Yeah,
like,
and that's the intro to that song starts like a fight. Like, let's get ready to rumble. You know what I mean? Like, it's dope. I have a Tupac song that, like, if I'm having a shit day in the gym and I'm just not like feeling good and I'm looking for motivation, all I got to do is play Open Fire and I'm ready to roll, man.
Yes.
Love that song.
Yes, that'll get you going.
Yeah, another Tupac fan here. The LFA, man, it's one thing that I do love about it. We were just talking about politics, and I don't mean to circle back to this, but the one thing I love about that, and you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't follow it as close as I do like the UFC. Frankly, I don't have the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I watch Factory X fighters, you know, that sort of thing. A lot of times in those sort of undercard fights, I guess is what you would call it, right? Is it an undercard? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. But what I've noticed is I really enjoy watching those fights because of the bracket system, and there's not as much politics, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, for you to get to that championship bout that you were in for LFA back in May, you had to knock out basically like 3 or 4 guys or win by a decision, whatever it was, to get there, right? There was no... Well, that's what put you in that position.
Yeah, it was all... I'm not going to say made up on the spot. It was planned how they were going to do that. I think at the time I won 2 fights in a row for LFA. One was at 205, one was at 185. And I knew that the 185 belt was up for grabs. So, you know, I'm in their ear. I'm like, hey, give me that shot. What do I got to do to get that shot? Because I know that if you win the LFA belt, you're pretty much guaranteed to go to the UFC or at least get a Contender Series fight. And my manager was talking to LFA and everything, and they set up a bracket where Bruno and I were in this side, and Gregory and it was supposed to be Anthony, but it ended up being a different guy in the other side. And I mean, all 4 of those guys, including me, like we were all qualified to be there. All 3 of those guys were on the Contender Series. And no, I think there's no politics really in LFA. Like, if you're good, you're going to get a fight. You know, if you do the right things, you're going to continue to fight for them. It's a great organization.
No, I really enjoy watching it just for that very fact. And not to mention, I think your fights leading up to that, you were the only American in that whole little division right there, right? In that bracket system.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Made
That's
me
pretty
cheer
cool.
for you even more. There's a bunch of Brazilians, right?
All Brazilians,
Was it all Brazilians?
All Brazilians. And
Damn.
then the one guy who replaced Anthony was Samoan.
Okay.
Samoan, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, and then shout out, congratulations, man, for being called 2020 Fighter of the Year. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment, right?
Appreciate that, yeah.
So I got to ask this question, and maybe I need to, I'm not asking it towards you, but like fucking Dana White, like why haven't you gotten the call for a Contender Series or
man, I don't
an opportunity to be on this latest season of Tough or whatever, you know?
I have no idea. And you know, that's part of the thing that I've always, like, coming off this loss, I've really had to like take into consideration, like, I got to stop doing certain things that like mentally bring me down, because that's what I thought. I was like, hey, I almost killed 3 guys. Like, you telling me I'm not going to get a shot now? Because that was my big thing coming off injury, was like, I see people who I know aren't better than me getting a shot or getting a call up because they know the right people. That's a huge reason why I wanted to move to a bigger gym.
Sure.
And then, you know, I had to deal with some injuries and get over that. But as soon as I got back, like, I told my coach, I'm like, I'm going to run through these guys and I'm going to get a call. And I thought after my first main event knockout against Bruno, I was like, all right, well, I have to get the call.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Your 3 fights previous to this one in May were all first round.
All first round.
TKO, right?
Not TKO. Like,
Okay.
just completely knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to leave any question, or I didn't want them to move. I just wanted them to just stay still, raise my hand, let me get the call. And it just didn't happen. And this last fight, I put a lot of pressure on myself because I was like, I want to change my life. I don't want to do this forever, continuously getting hurt. I want to get in, make my money, and get out.
Sure.
So I went in with that mindset. It didn't go my way, but it's just proof that I'm on the right track, because Gregory, who won, like I said, got signed 2 days later, fought 2 weeks later, and he's doing great. So, like, it's right there. It's in my grasp. I just have to fight a little harder, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that you're in the right gym to do that. I mean, because you're sparring with heavyweights, middleweights like Dustin and Anthony and all those guys, right? On a daily basis, pretty much, right?
Dustin Jacoby has been the greatest asset to me personally.
What
as
a
a
great
fighter.
Fucking guy, too, by the way.
Not only
a
a great guy, like just a dude's dude outside the gym, someone you want to hang out with. He's a baller. Like,
that's
just
what
a
I was
cool
getting
ass
at,
dude, yeah. And then his skill set as a fighter, and especially as a stand-up fighter, just made me, like, I had to jump levels, because coming out here, I was mostly a wrestler with a little bit of boxing. Coming out here for a couple months, getting the shit beat out of me, you kind of have to, like, either, you know, level up or get out. And he's made me do that, and he's just a great asset to my training.
Yeah, great guy. Love having him in here too, man. He's a good guy. We've had him on a couple podcasts actually. So, but yeah, you know, UFC 264 coming up. What do you anticipate? Like, I'm sure that you're staying in shape and are ready for that call, right? Because you could technically get called up at any time, right?
I mean, I find it hard to see it as coming off a loss that I might get a call up. You never know. I've seen crazier stuff happen, but I'm staying ready in general, just because 2 things. One, it's a lifestyle anymore that I choose to do. Like, I used to get heavy in between fights before I moved out here. I used to, like, oh, I won, let's go party, eat everything I want, and then not train for like 2-3 weeks. And now it's, after all my fights, I'm back in the gym within a week. Within 2 weeks off this last fight, I was back in the gym. I just want to stay ready, because, like, you know, one of the greatest philosophers in the world, T.I., always said, stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So if I can just stay in shape, stay close to weight, I'm always in shooting distance, then I'm I'm gonna make it. Sure. And the second reason is just, I want to fight. Like, I have a bitter taste in my mouth from this last one, and there's nothing more I want to do than just get back in there, rectify that loss, and just continue on the path that I know that I need to be on to get to the UFC.
Yeah. You know, for your weight class and your division, you're a pretty tall guy. I didn't expect you to be this tall. How tall are you?
6'4", but I tell people I'm 6'5" because they don't have a measuring tape.
Hell yeah. Have you thought about going up a weight class to that light heavyweight? Like fight at 205?
I fought at 205 once, and I weighed in at 199. So I used to be pretty heavy when I was in PA. I walked around like 215, 220 at sometimes. Playing football, I like lifted really heavy. But being out here, I don't eat that much. I don't know if it's elevation or whatever. I'm just not as hungry as I used to be. I've completely kicked out Wendy's, McDonald's, Taco Bell, all
Good.
That's like
It's
nowhere.
just garbage.
Oh, it's super garbage. Super garbage. But I just eventually I will get up to 205. I just have to, I think, wait till my grown man strength comes in, because I just, as much as I try, I can't put on a ton of weight right now. And eventually, I'll try and I'll get there. But
that'll come with age too, man.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Like with age, I'll get there, but it's so easy to make 185 now. So I don't think about it too much.
Yeah. And that division right now, I mean, it's all rough right now. But correct me if I'm wrong. I think Adesanya is like 6'4" or something, right?
Yeah.
Like he's got that length. And
he's tall.
A lot of the guys that dominate that division have the length that you have.
Yeah, real tall. Yeah.
What's your reach, if you don't mind me asking?
I have no idea. Yeah, I know they've measured it a couple times, but I'm too busy cracking jokes when they're like doing all that, and they're like, "All right, hold still." I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
But like I don't remember what it is.
What's with fighter nicknames? I got to ask you, because I noticed that you don't have one.
I don't. I got asked this leading up to my last fight. I don't know.
Yeah. I love Dustin's story, by the way. That he told us in here.
His is really cool, and like I would love to have something cool like that. But they tried getting, was it Double Tap? Like they wanted that to be my nickname in the gym for a little bit, because my last couple fights, like after I dropped them, I hit them twice. They're like, "Oh, you double tap." I'm like, nah. And I'm not going to create my own. It's just, it has to come naturally, and it just hasn't. So I'm not too worried about it, honestly.
I was trying to talk my wife into when my son was born. I have 2 girls, son in the middle. And I kind of let my wife pick the girls' names.
Mm-hmm.
The son was important to me, so I got to pick his middle name, and I had picked Switchblade.
Switchblade.
And she said, "No fucking way." So
I mean, that's so cool.
So
Why
his middle name is James now, but originally,
not as cool.
yeah. So that would have been awesome. But yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think you'll find it eventually, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I get one, I get one. If I don't, I don't. I mean, one day I believe that you're just gonna say my name and you'll know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't really need a nickname.
Well, your last name's unique enough already, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they tried. My one buddy tried to like, "Josh, not your friend, Fremd," and I was like, a little cheesy, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, we can come up with something better than that.
There's something better than not your friend.
That's enough fight talk, but I'm geeking out over here because I'm a fan of it all, and but outside of the octagon, what are you into, man? Living here in Colorado, you mentioned being in the outdoors.
Yeah.
Is that a big part of your life now?
Yeah, I've gotten back into fishing a lot. I used to fish a ton back home. Moving out here, having to work a couple jobs and everything, I wasn't able to get really big into it out here, but getting back into it. I'm not a real big avid hunter. I've never, by the time I was old enough to go hunting, my grandfather was a little too old to go hunting, and my dad was not an outdoorsy person at all. So fishing was kind of something that I was like, oh, that sounds fun. Let's go do it. I was able to sit there and smoke with my buddies and just fish. So it was fun.
It's great, man. It's awesome. I love it.
I love hiking. I love finding a cool place, lay a hammock and just chill. Mountain biking. Pretty much anything outdoors, I'm always down to do. Love hanging out with
Definitely
my dogs.
got that Colorado blood then, because it's like
all
the hobbies that you can pick up here get real expensive, man.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it, dude. I went snowboarding for the first time last year, and cost me almost $400, and I just rented the stuff. And I didn't even buy it, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, you got to kind of pick and choose, man.
What you want to get into,
And then time, that's another thing. If you're training full time or something like that, it's like, God, I got golf clubs that are collecting dust. I got motorcycles that are collecting dust. It's like, so I just kind of pick and choose.
That's one thing I wanted to get into this summer, but I just haven't yet because the DMV is taking forever. But I want to get a motorcycle. Like I've always wanted.
Like a street bike?
Like a street bike, yeah. Some nothing to do anything crazy with. I just cruise through the mountains, have a bike.
Anna's just been ripping it up on a dirt bike.
Oh,
Hell
for
yeah,
real?
Just learned how last weekend.
Hell yeah.
And I grew up on dirt bikes. So I'm a big advocate for I love to ride Harleys. That's my jam. I've had crotch rockets. I've had them all. I've had dual sports. I've had dirt bikes, like full-on race bikes. I've worked in that industry. It's definitely my suggestion to you is start on dirt.
Start small.
Start on dirt, yeah. Because you'll learn a lot, right? Like uneven terrain, all that sort of stuff, getting out of the way of something quick, like a tree or something like that, really helps you on the road, man.
That'd be very helpful, yeah.
But I think that's it's one of my favorite pastimes, but it's also one of the scariest, man. Like
I could imagine, career
ending or life ending for people all the time.
Do you ride like in traffic a lot, or are you more so just cruising around the mountainside?
Man, it was to be honest with you, in the last year I haven't rode at all because I sold. I'm a big FXR guy now, and so Harley Davidson made FXRs from 82 to like 94, and they're police bikes basically. So they have a super rigid frame. They sit a lot higher. You can ride them off of curbs. They have a shorter wheelbase, so you can U-turn in them real close. Your feet are underneath you like a dirt bike, so you have a lot more control. They were meant for police in the city, right?
Okay.
So I become a huge fan of those bikes. And when I transitioned off of street bikes and dirt bikes to Harleys, that's what I always rode, just because I was like, this is how I want to ride. I like to ride aggressive.
Yeah.
And I was living in LA, and I didn't have kids at the time, and LA's fucking bananas. You can split lanes. Like, traffic can be at a dead standstill on the 405, and you can literally, if you wanted to, be doing 65 on your motorcycle in between cars. And then you have assholes that will like, open their door a little bit or
about it.
So it's a different element of riding there. I think now I don't want to go get on I-25 on my bike.
Yeah, that looks a little,
especially with all the road construction and shit.
Scary.
Up here, it's great. You got to watch out for gravel and stuff, on the roads.
Yeah,
got to be conscious of that because that ends up turning like marbles on a tile floor. It's not going to turn out good, but yeah, I would just stick to these 2-lane roads. There's so many beautiful spots to go. Like, why go sit in traffic when you can go around, or whatever on a 2-lane road.
So my grandma's telling me, she was like, you don't need a bike, you'll hurt yourself. I'm like, well.
Yeah, it's the old BB gun.
You know what I do for a living, right, Grandma?
That's what I'm saying. Like, Grandma, you know what I do, right?
No, I mean, Colorado's a perfect spot for it, so I highly suggest doing it. Just be careful, man.
Get on there, get geared up.
The whole thing is, I think people get too relaxed, or maybe they go to the bar, right?
Yeah.
Have a few beers, then you're really relaxed, and then you start riding, you're not paying attention. I think if you keep your head on a swivel, just like it's like stepping into the cage and just being relaxed. You know what I mean? Like,
just being aware.
You have to be
times.
aware of what's going on. Like watching 2 or 3 cars ahead of you. Watching for wildlife, having good headlights, that sort of stuff, or extra lights or whatever if you're riding at night. And I think as long as you're conscious and aware of your surroundings, you should be fine.
Yeah. Looks like a blast, though.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. I got to tell you, I'm glad I started on dirt because it hurts a lot less laying it down in a field than it does laying it down on a road.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I can attest to that, too.
You leather up? Like, you wear a bunch of leather, or?
Probably not as much.
Well, you're really good at it.
I do wear a helmet, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I was actually sitting at a stoplight in LA in Redondo Beach on like a 2-lane road, and actually it might have been 3 lanes. And I'm sitting at an intersection, and I took my hands off the handlebar and put my feet down, And luckily, I didn't have a bike that had like forward controls, or I had a bike that had forward controls. It was the only bike I'd ever had. So my pegs, where you put your feet, were not behind my Achilles, basically, right, when you put your feet down. And I had a lady rear end me while I was sitting at the stoplight, and it knocked the bike out from underneath me, and I just fell like flat on my back on the asphalt. And I'm trying to catch my breath, and it was an Asian lady, and she was like, "I see you, I know, stop, I see you." I was like, "No shit, lady," and just totally wrecked my brand new bike.
Not fulfilling any stereotypes.
Yeah, and there's a whole nother backstory to that, like why I had that bike, and I was gonna calm down in my life. My daughter was born, so I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get the old man lazy boy cruiser," you know. Thank God I did, because I probably would have been hurt a lot more. And then I've had people purposely like swerve at me.
Those are assholes.
Yeah.
I've seen people do that, like when people are driving, through traffic. I've seen people like just be dicks. Like, I'm like, why? Like,
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt you too. Like,
Yeah,
you're gonna get in trouble.
Crazy. I caught the guy at the next stoplight, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, man, it's you just got to keep your head on a swivel out there with it. I think starting on dirt, if I didn't have all that dirt bike riding experience and crashed all those times, I think the street is a much scarier place to ride for sure. And then you get that whole human crayon element, That's basically what happens to your skin, bone, everything when you're going down the asphalt if you're not wearing
I was like, human crayon,
but I do,
what's he saying?
That I got it immediately, and it just in my mind is so painful.
And I think head injuries are big. I'm a big, like state of Colorado, you don't have to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
And I know it's the cool thing to have your hat backwards and be cruising down the road, but all it takes is that one time. I wear a helmet.
My uncle, when I was younger, he was in a motorcycle wreck, and he was wearing his helmet, luckily. And that's where he met his wife. She nursed him back to health. And I was like, every time my grandma gives me shit about it, I'm like, Grandma, I could meet the love of my life if I wreck. You never know. Like, I'd be nursed
she could
back
be a
to
nurse,
health. No, but yeah, helmets are crucial. I mean, yeah, it does look a little cool if you know what you're doing and you can ride without one. But
yeah.
What's the point of looking cool if you're a human crayon?
Exactly.
It's not gonna work.
Doesn't matter how cool you looked if you're dead. You
Yes.
can't tell people how cool you were.
Exactly. But I've also heard the contrary to that too. Like helmets have broken guys' necks because of the extra weight.
The whip, yeah.
It's like
there's a lot that goes into it.
I mean, it's just like stepping into the cage, dude. There's a danger element to it, and you better be prepared that it's gonna happen at some point. You are gonna wreck. You know?
I know it's stupid, but I don't wear seatbelts. Because the fear of if I do get in a wreck and I get trapped because this seatbelt, that's scarier to me than getting thrown through the windshield.
I have a pair of rescue scissors
you keep them
clipped to
close?
one of my visors. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't fly off or something. And I have a seatbelt cutter in my console on my truck.
Okay, smart.
And they're super cheap. The scissors were a little bit more expensive. They're like an actual paramedic rescue scissors. They're made by Gerber or something. They're fucking badass. They're called the Raptor. And they fold up. They come in this metal sheath. It's got a thing where you can break the window. And I was like, this is a good thing to have in the family car. And because I think that happens a lot. Like people get trapped in a burning car, or
that's scary.
Maybe you got hot shit pouring on you. Who knows, you know, or maybe you're in water. But yeah, I think about that too, man. It's definitely in the back of my mind.
I think about all that crazy stuff because I just like to be aware and know. Because
I think you should wear your seatbelt though, man. Get some.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Get some of those scissors or one of those knives. The knife I got is actually made from Gerber too, and it's actually it was like $13, and it's razor sharp. It's actually one of my military buddies showed it to me, and it's for cutting bulletproof vests off of guys when they get shot. So they can, he's a medic, and he carries it on his belt. And it's just, the straps in the bulletproof vests are made out of kind of the same seatbelt material. It's a thick, heavy-duty stuff. And there they can just cut it off and work on somebody if they need to.
That's definitely an investment.
And they're cheap, like $13 on Amazon.
Man.
Gerber,
Amazon Prime it.
Yeah, I think it's Gerber Life Cutter or something like that. I don't know. They're awesome though. Good stuff to have. Do you do some of your training outside? I know you guys go to Red Rocks and run, and do some stuff like that?
So, like, I know a lot of people go to Red Rocks, and I've been to Red Rocks a couple times, but I like going super high in the mountains. I know sometimes I'll just drive up on the weekends just to go for a run in, like, Silverthorne or something, just because it's so high up in the mountains. I'll do jump rope outside, old Rocky style training in the mountains, but I love training outside. Yeah.
And training at altitude, you think that affects what you're doing in the cage?
Yeah, I like to believe that one of my strongest assets is my gas tank. I haven't really gotten to show that lately, but that, to me, like, I can go for days. I was making a joke with my buddy today, like, you can beat the shit out of me for 14 minutes, but when you're tired, the 15 minute is when I'm gonna get you. Like, I'm not gonna quit, and I like to believe that my gas tank is a huge part of that. So training in altitude, huge advantage. Yeah,
hell yeah. And then, with your strength and conditioning, I know a lot of Mark's guys go to Landau. We've had Eric Talley in here before.
Yeah, I love Eric.
He's awesome. Actually, the night that you were fighting in May, he was in here recording a podcast. And we were like, we got to wrap this shit up so we can watch Josh fight.
Yeah, coming out here to Landau's and having Eric and Wrigley and all of them over there, I just feel so much better. Like, I had a great strength and conditioning program back home. Shout out Molinero's Fitness. I had a great one out there. But it's just coming out here to Denver and the way they do things. I didn't think at first, you're like, I'm not going to get strong. I'm not going to do this. But after like 2 months, I was never a pull-up guy. Like, I could barely do pull-ups. I can bust out 50 pull-ups now, no problem. I used to barely be able to do 10. And, like, I just feel so much stronger, much more athletic coming out here with Landau's. And Eric's a great coach. He'll push you. Like, I just came from there. Like, he pushes you nonstop.
Yeah, no, I haven't trained with him, and I don't know that I want to. I'm too out of shape for that, but and too old maybe. But I should go down and see him. But
should definitely give it a try.
Lauren too is he's the physical trainer or the strength and conditioning coach for the Denver Broncos too. Yeah. So playing football and stuff, I got to ask, are you an NFL fan? Are you a Steelers fan?
I am a Yinzer till I die.
Yeah.
Black and gold.
I think I remember
cut me open.
Do you carry a towel?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You carry a terrible towel?
I do, yeah.
East Coast ripping.
I love all things Pittsburgh sports. I grew up the biggest Pirates fan that I think you'll ever know. I went to a Pirates game last night. Unfortunate, 8-0, almost got no hit.
They played the Rockies last night?
Yeah, it was rough. But no, everything. Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, I love it all.
Hell yeah. So is it hard walking into Landau a little bit and seeing all those Broncos jerseys up there and stuff?
It's hard seeing the Tim Tebow jersey. It's I drive past Empower Field every single day, so sometimes it's a little hard.
Yeah.
And then what's his face? The dude who caught the touchdown that day, they have Demaryius Thomas. They have his jersey signed up there, and I was like, it was rough at first, but like, all right, I'm here to fight. I'm not here to think about football right now.
Right. Well, there's so many AFC championships. That whole like, it can't be as much hatred as you have like at least for like the Patriots or something.
Oh no, Denver. It's more of a joke now, just because Denver is not as good as they once were, and like Pittsburgh was good last year until the end of the year. But no, absolutely hate Browns fans. Hate if you like the Ravens. I don't like you. Patriots. I mean, I have a different view on the Patriots. Like, I know I'm supposed to hate them, but like it's like growing up. You're watching. I can't even compare it. It's Tom Brady. You watch Tom Brady like you watch LeBron and James. You're just watching the greatest.
Not to mention for him to go to fucking Tampa Bay.
And then do the same thing. God, like, you can't deny how great he is. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't like New England as a team, but, like, as a fan, no, I watch greatness growing up. Even though it wasn't my team, that's still awesome to see, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm a big football fan. I don't like most of those teams. Steelers are all right. They're all right.
Are you a big Denver Broncos fan? Yeah.
I mean, I was raised that way. Growing up here, my uncles, grandfathers, everybody played football.
Mm-hmm.
My Tom Jackson, I don't know if you remember him. He was a linebacker for Denver, like back in the 80s. So
I can't say I do.
I was a little kid, but now he's a commentator on ESPN. I think he does He does one of those shows. But anyways, he stayed in Denver for a while before he took the job with ESPN. He was my my grandparents' neighbor at the time.
Oh.
And I used to go over and bug him as a kid all the time. And he was just super cool. So that even made the love even greater
more,
for Denver. And, you know, I didn't grow up with a whole lot of money. So he was the first guy that got us like tickets to go see a game.
Oh, cool.
You know, like actually step into Mile High, the old Mile High,
and
stuff like that. And then, when I moved to LA, my family bought me just the brightest orange stuff. They were like, if you come back a Raiders fan,
you're just disowned.
You can't come back,
Don't
basically.
come back.
Like, and my family is the most loving family you'd ever meet. You know what I mean? So, but and then, you know, I graduated in 98 from high school. And that was always back-to-back Super Bowls. It was right around there. You know, I think it was 90, might have been 98, 99, something like that. And then me working in the staging industry, I got to be at Super Bowl 50 when they won that. I was doing the halftime show. So, I have a deep, rooted orange and blue in my blood for sure.
That's awesome.
Big Broncos fan.
Are you big on lock?
You know, I got mixed emotions about it right now.
Yeah.
I want to see Aaron Rodgers come here. Did he sign with anybody?
I don't think he signed with anyone, and I don't know if he will. But I don't know. I can't see Aaron Rodgers going anywhere else. I think he's
come here. Pull Peyton Manning. We'll take you.
Manning.
When we signed Peyton Manning, Peyton, if you're listening to this, because I know you love this show, and I apologize now. I was pissed.
Oh,
you know, I was pissed. I was legitimately pissed because we suffered to him for so many years. You know, like playing the Colts. Denver, that was a rough game when you were going against the Colts and Peyton. And, you know, he had all those neck injuries and stuff. So I was like, they're signing this broken neck quarterback. Like, what the fuck are we doing? You know, and then about 2 or 3 games in, I was on the bandwagon. I was like, all right,
we want him.
Cool. Typical fan, right?
Oh,
like, what do they call that? Third armchair quarterback, or whatever they call it.
If you're doing well, we love you. If you're not, get the fuck out.
Man, you know, we're cruising through the time here. I really appreciate you coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
But before we get you out of here, what's coming up next for you? Do you know? Or are you just training at this point and going to figure it out?
I don't have anything set in the books just yet. I'm bugging my manager. I'm bugging my coach. Like, I've never been that type of person to, like, every day, every other day, like, hey, what are we doing? Hey, what are we planning? Because I kind of I'm more of go with the flow type of thing. When I first got here, like, all right, you guys know what's best. I'm going to follow what you tell me. And I still do that. I still believe that. But now, because I was so close and I have that taste of, like, almost, and I watched him live out my dreams, I'm like, I'm right there. So I'm literally, hey, can we get on this? Can we get on this? Can we get on this? I want to fight end of July, beginning of August. Anytime in August, really, I would love to fight. Nothing booked, but you'll hear shortly. Like, I'm going to be bugging them until I get something on the books.
Hell yeah. And let us know when you do, man. If you want to come back in here beforehand or after, whatever, we'd love to have you. You know, where do you see your future in the next, like, 6 months or something? Do you expect to be in the UFC?
I believe
I'll
be in the UFC.
I think that you should be. I think you've earned the right.
My first one, my thought was by July 4th. Obviously, it's a little bit coming up. But I want to say by Halloween, honestly. I believe that if I go out in my next fight and I just completely take this guy's soul away from him, then you really can't deny me. Like, I want to be with the best, go out on my shoulder with it, you know, like, just let me in.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we're always rooting for you. We're always rooting for any of the Factory X fighters. We love you guys down there. And you're welcome back here anytime, man. So
appreciate that.
I really appreciate your time. You know, before we let you go, let's drop your Instagram, Twitter. I don't know if you have a website.
No website, but Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the same. I'm not very creative. Josh Fremd, MMA.
You don't have to be, man. That's the easy way.
Yeah, Josh Fremd, MMA on all platforms.
Perfect. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Josh, thank you again. Anna, how we doing back there?
Everything looks great back here, Bobby.
All right. Catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. Also, if you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com. The Mountainside Podcast is now available on Patreon. If you'd like access to bonus footage, behind-the-scenes content, ad-free listening, and much more, simply find the link in our bio or visit patreon.com/themountainside.